we're there already, right? We just hit 8 billion.
Yes, we just passed
Woo!
8 billion people in the
The
world.
achievement. Let's go.
Yes, condoms suck.
Yes.
Very.
What? We got to 8 billion because people are using condoms. Taylor, go.
Yes. So we made it. We got to 8 billion people. And the question is it too much, right? I mean, for so many years, we were indoctrinated, or at least like there was people like Paul Ehrlich, who was, if you see here, the 8 billion people, Paul Ehrlich, who was a Stanford University, and he was not only a teacher, but he wrote papers. He had the population bomb. I don't know if any of you guys have heard it, but some of his predictions were from 1970 to 1980s, 100 million people would die from starvation. And his whole theory was too much people, more people will create chaos through starvation and death. And so my question to all of you, because this person went to Stanford, he was a professor there. This
Liberal.
paper, he was all over TV talking about it. This was the theory that was obviously incorrect. The school system and political leaders, there was a very anti-human movement. Everything's about the earth, and we don't want to have more people. And the only way to limit population is either not have babies or kill babies. And so school system, political leaders, what is your guys' thought on, is the culture still going the route of having less children, or are we starting to see a tipping point? And what role does education play in the role of our culture when it comes to birth and family?
Well, I personally think overpopulation is nonsense. I think, like Elon even said this, and I agree, because we're on planes a lot, and we'll be flying over the United States. Do you know how much empty land, just the United States in general, the hell with the world, right? I'm even just the United States. You could fly over any point and drop a ball, whatever, and you won't hit anybody. The odds of you hitting a human being is so slim. I think the overpopulation from the elites is just an arrogant way. They think that we're sucking up all the natural resources, and they want us to die. They literally want you here. I think Bill Gates, all these people, all the shit that they do, all the stuff in the air, the food being horrible, all the cancers, all the everything, they think that there's too many of us. They genuinely think that there's too many of us.
I just looked it up as you were talking, that there is allegedly 9 million food-related deaths a year, hunger-related deaths a year. But I think the issue with that is it's not so much about overpopulation as it is just about corruption and poorly run government in what we call developing or third world nations. At some point, there will be too many people for the natural resources that are out there. And I was just on the plane yesterday flying from Montreal to here and watched a documentary called Caught, which is about the bycatch killing dolphins off the coast of France, the Sea Shepherd, and their involvement in all of that. And to some extent, there is a lack of sustainability in terms of some resources, but nothing that human ingenuity and science can't take care of. The greater risk could be population collapse in certain areas, because you have a population that needs to be maintained, and it's not going to be maintained if the younger people are not reproducing enough to take care of the older generation.
100%.
There's a number. I don't know what the number is.
Well, and that's what they found, right? When you have more people, you have more brain power, you get more ingenuity, and you get more innovation, all of those things. So from a cultural standpoint, do you think we're coming back to more family-oriented? People want to have kids because, like the whole thing, crazy cat lady, no kids. That's kind of been the culture for a long time now, and it shows when you think of, we can't have more people because our world isn't going to be able to sustain it. Where do you feel the culture is going?
What do you think, Alberto?
Well, man, I don't know how people get away talking this nonsense, all right? You see all these guys from the WEF and Bill Gates and we're too many people. You know what that means? Like, we need to either kill some people or, like, stop some people from reproducing. Yep. Like, I'm not comparing to the Nazis, but they're trying to do some kind of population control of certain people, because I bet my bottom dollar that they're not going to kill their children or their friends or the alumni from Harvard. Like, they're going to just kill poor people, And then to put this in perspective, okay, 8 billion sounds like a lot, right?
Yeah.
How much space do you think 8 billion will take, like, shoulder to shoulder?
Shoulder to shoulder where? In the United States?
Anywhere. I don't know where you want to put them.
8 billion people? How many do we have here? How many?
Packed like sardines. What size of land?
Like half America?
No, not even
close.
It's going to be like Delaware.
One state?
I think they would fit in one state.
When we were 5 billion, because this was the comparison, it was about the size of New York. All right.
What? That's small.
New York City or New York State?
New York City.
Oh, and you're talking about
All
just
right?
like
Listen,
lined up.
listen,
Yeah, like
and,
sardines.
and no, shoulder to shoulder packed.
Yeah.
And now, if we grab the 8 billion people and put them shoulder to shoulder, I don't know if anyone know what Cyprus is.
Cyprus?
Like, it's an island in Europe.
Small.
Yeah, it's a small island in Europe. You could fit the whole world population shoulder to shoulder there. All right. And I think I might be wrong on this. You can fact check my math. I think you could fit with the same density as New York City. You can fit the whole world population in Texas. All right.
Wow.
Like people, like I traveled the world and I drove a lot around weird places. You know, Morocco and Chile.
Area
and-
51.
Yeah, Area 51, whatever. But a few times, you know, it happened that I've been driving for a whole day and I didn't see another human being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I drove from Austin to New Mexico to Albuquerque, and it took 8 hours to get out of the state of Texas. The issue is not the population per se, but the waste, the strain on natural resources. But it's like humans will die on this planet if they don't leave this planet. And I think Elon sort of has that long-term vision. When the sun goes nova or whatever and wipes out the earth, any trace of human existence will cease to exist. And so we're doomed to die on this planet if we don't escape it. And so you don't do that by shrinking a population. But you talk about the Nazi era stuff. They sterilize children in Africa with their vaccines. They experiment on people. They may have had contributed to this dip in the population, which we're going to see right now, to this population collapse in certain areas. So they are genuinely sinister and evil people.
And they're
They are.
pro-abortion, which kills how many millions of babies a year?
Oh, there's
and-
more. I mean, I think there was a point in time in New York, if you were a black woman, there was more chance you were going to get an abortion than you're actually going to have your baby. So
Oh.
statistically, if you were in a mother's womb, back in the day in the U.S., we actually had sterilization laws where it was like forced sterilization for certain subgroups of people because they were trying to limit the population, whether it be for certain races or if you were poor and they didn't want you. There was like a whole case early
Yeah, it
on
was
in like
the Buck decision.
Yeah,
where
and
they talked about they authorized sterilization of idiots, and I'm using the
exactly
word, quote,
idiots. Yeah, that was like the case. So there always is this population control, anti-human, and what really equated to 100 million people dead. Communism. The thing that the same people will then
that's
try
why I
to
love
bring in the
this stuff.
education system to say like, hey, this is actually what's going to make you free and what's going to make you better is the exact same philosophy that killed 100 million people.
Well, you know, and it's not too far from the number. Vinny, you asked the question, how many people are killed by abortions each
Yeah.
year? It's 73 million.
73 million babies. get-
73 million babies
a
killed
year.
a year
Wow.
global. And in the United States, 1 million babies.
A million babies. Wow.
That
million.
is a lot of people.
That's a lot of human beings, bro.
Because there's only two ways to prevent. Either you don't have them or you kill them. And at the end of the day, like, we all are going to die. You know what I mean? Stop trying to play God.
The interesting thing is the demographic shift, where you talk about natural selection and the party that promotes abortion, the party that promotes gender-affirming care, which is nothing more than child genital mutilation, sterilization. There will be a natural selection there, and there will be a natural growth of the conservative religious demographic. The only the biggest issue for me is the Western societies, Canada, America, promote these policies. Birth control is one thing, abortion is another, euthanasia is another, sterilization of children is another, and then they say, oh, the population's not growing, so we need to import our population replacement from wherever, and lo and behold, when you import whatever, you're going to import whatever problems are associated with whatever you're importing. And this is not, bless your sweet soul,
Bless you.
this
God
is
bless
not
you.
specific to any one demographic. You import, a ton of Russian population into America, you're going to import whatever local problems exist there. So they're using this population lack of growth, at least in Western societies, to justify bringing in and replacing the local population with foreign populations, which do not have this problem of not reproducing.
Well, you know what tyranny hates? They hate, competition. All right? They don't hate the lower level of society. They don't hate the destitute, the criminals. They don't hate their friends, obviously. But they hate citizens that could eventually take their spot. So they're getting rid of citizens that have an education, have a chance of competing against them for power, competing against them for wealth. But these people that are on the bottom tier of society that they're importing, they're all for it, because they're indentured servants. That's what it is.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's pretty incredible. And when you kind of said the birth control aspect of it as well, you were talking about how like a lot of times people of power, they'll share something and then they find out it's not true. I mean, I can only imagine. I think we're going to find out eventually the harm that it's done because when I went to school, every girl was on birth control. I was probably the only one of my friends that wasn't because I'm like, taking it and, you know, changing your body, and they'll just say, no, it's fine. You can do it. It'll regulate you. I can only imagine the, you know, yeah,
You could
what's going
literally
to
buy it
happen
over
to
the
that.
counter. Yeah.
In a
Rob,
few years, we're going to look back and be like,
Birth control has been around for, I say, a sufficiently long period of time where I think, you know, Charlie Kirk goes into the psychological impact. Joe Rogan was talking about it, how it makes women attracted to different types of men. And when they come off birth control, they may no longer be attracted to the person that they're with. And if they get married.
No way.
Oh, yeah. What's amazing.
Well, my
is,
best friend Tyler is getting, hey, good luck on your dick surgery, Tyler.
Don't do it,
Snipped
Tyler.
Today because he wants to get his wife off of birth control. And it's a very noble effort on his part to be able to go and do that. But I can't imagine because
Rob, we're at 10 for women without birth control.
Well, which way did it go? I forget. Whoever remember this. Was it a woman was attracted to, when she's on the pill, is attracted to more effeminate men, and then when she comes off the pill is
Well, that
attracted
makes
to more...
sense. He's a total puss. So that is why she's
wow.
attracted to him. That totally makes sense. But I can't imagine the actual hormones that it, like, okay, when we use protection, we're just using a device that we put on our device. But for females, you're literally changing their anatomy and their hormones. I can't imagine. And so the idea that women put that into their bodies, like, that's why I applauded him for doing it. I go, that's a good move. That's the bold move to do as a man. Hey, instead of my wife having to take these chemicals to change her body, I'll change mine so she doesn't have to go through that every month.
And you brought up, I'm sorry, not to cut you off. You brought up I know it sucks. You brought up the word hormone. Do you know how to make a hormone? You don't pay her.
the version
I was waiting. I'm like, I'll do that.
No, the version that I knew from the Blanche Knott's Dirty Joke book was you put sand in her Vaseline. But that
so
Okay,
funny.
but Viva, I love where you're going with this because you can look at it like on the health implications, society, economics, and everything. But I think the biggest turning point of what in Western civilization, like if I could pinpoint one of the biggest turning points, it was when anti-contraceptive drugs were invented, because that changed the power structure of society. Like men and women were equally in control, and then you gave them a superpower to be absolutely in control of one thing. Careers started getting longer. They joined the workforce. Voting and everything. Like it changed a lot of things, and the impacts of having birth control, we still haven't seen the end of it yet. And it's probably one of the worst inventions in mankind.
It's funny. I never actually fully thought about the women's liberation movement correlating with birth control, the hippies sex movement of the 60s, which I think correlated with birth control as well. I'm still thinking about the...
It's a breaking point in history.
Well, it's interesting. But when the woman comes off the pill and is no longer attracted to the husband that she's with because they want to have a baby now, and then you wonder if it contributes to divorce. Luckily, I have as much of a feminine side as I do a masculine side. So when my wife, when we came off to make babies, she was still attracted to the masculine side, even though she still lost my feminine side.
That's why your hair is long. Kelly. Yeah, Kelly, were you going to say something?
The reason I started birth control a couple years ago is because I was diagnosed with PCOS. So my body makes too much.
What's PCOS?
Polycystic ovarian syndrome. So I have, it's called like a string of pearls. I have tiny little cysts on one of my ovaries. And so the doctor told me that if I take my body makes too much testosterone and I need to take estrogen. So that's why I had started the pill, but my brain was so clouded all the time. And I feel like I was less emotional because I was taking it but I felt so clouded and I felt not like myself. And I was like super like unmotivated, depressed all the time. Like it not that much, but it was different. So I finally stopped taking it. Like I think, a year or 2 years ago,
And you feel better?
and I feel a lot better. I still have like
still have the pearls?
pain sometimes, yeah. So it's supposed to help them stop like getting bigger, and they're not getting bigger right now.
Oh, perfect.
But it was so crazy to feel the difference about the way I interacted with people and the way my brain worked versus how it is now and how much clearer everything is now. And I wouldn't trade it for anything, and it was so weird because I didn't understand that until I started talking about it and reading more about it. And I was like, oh, wow. Like, I'm just like so docile and complacent and so like just way too chill.
I'm
I
anti birth control.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. And I just had a friend who's been on it for years. And similarly, she's like, I can actually feel like I have emotions again. She's like, I felt like just like I would wake up, I was groggy, I just didn't care about things as much. And it changed. Now she's been off for about like a few months. And she said she can drastically feel like she's more emotional.
There's a weird, you said it earlier today. God made me the way he did, so I don't need
any more ingredients.
And I love that. And I'm not trying to minimize birth control, but I took antidepressants for a very short time. And the reason I stopped was because I felt this weird thing when I was doing stand-up where I was present, but I could watch me.
Oh,
like, it
no.
was me watching me, and I went, this is odd. And I went to my therapist. I said, something's off here. And she goes, stop taking them immediately. But I felt the similar way that you felt, where I was cloudy. I didn't feel like any type of emotion whatsoever. And then that weird watching yourself feeling was enough for me to go, this doesn't work for me. What does? And then it was meditation. And I know you can't cure a period or menstrual syndromes with your mind, but it was, for me, it was meditation.
You're just not trying hard enough, Rob.
Well, you'd be surprised how the body has, my grandmother always says, the body has a remarkable propensity to heal itself. And I think that so much of today's society is just forcing drugs down your throat as every solution.
Of course.
Versus like, I don't know if these cysts are ever going to go away, but healthy diet, exercise, like there's all these other things that you can do that might have a multiple beneficial effects versus taking a drug that just erases who you are as a person.
So if you like this clip, click right here. And if you want to see more like it, click right here. Stay angry, Patriots.